right. Welcome back, everybody. We are here. Last video, we wrapped up the mid-season madness, if I can talk. And now we're going to be looking a little bit forward to the summer showdown. So, nothing this week. They get their second week off. Much needed time to recuperate. Come back from the trip to Hawaii. And as you can see, we get the matches, starting to go down on starting the 11th, next Thursday. So, very exciting. We got a lot on the line. There's the teams that got off the really bad starts. It's time to really we're halfway through the season. It's time to go, or just kind of get left in the dust. But we're not going to go through predictions right now. That will of course come next week. We're going to go ahead and look at some of the patch notes, figure out, some of the changes that have happened, and how we think it might affect some teams going into this stretch, because we have a new character, introduced, of course, that is Junker Queen. Hopefully you guys got to try her out in the beta. PC people, get your second, dose of 5v5 Overwatch 2 in your system. And for the console players, hopefully you guys were able to get in and get some matches in for the first time on Overwatch 2. Very exciting stuff. I didn't play too much of the second beta. Was pretty darn busy those couple of weeks. But I was able to play a little bit of Junker Queen. So, without further ado, we're going to look at the patch that they're going to be playing on. This is the one that came out July 14th, as of course the Overwatch 2 beta is closed. And as we heard in the developer update today, we are not going to be getting a third wave of this Overwatch 2 beta. We're just going to have to wait the remaining 2 months, and then it's going to come out, of course, on October 4th. So this is kind of what we're going to be looking at. Could they make some more changes before it hits in October? Sure. They probably will, because we're going to get some more Overwatch League played. But for the Summer Showdown, this is what we're going to be having. So we're going to read through some of these. Tanks, decent amount of changes for Doomfist. His power block. The minimum damage, they reduced a little bit from 100 to 90. So, that just means he only has to take in 90 damage instead of 100. To get that empowered, supercharged One Punch Man rocket punch. And his movement speed penalty while blocking is reduced from 50 to 35%, so he'll be able to maneuver around a little bit more as he's doing his power block. I think nice little power block, nice little quality of life changes there. And for Rocket Punch, it now deals damage to all enemies knocked back instead of only the first target impacted. So we get a nice little buff here. A little surprising considering that Doom is still pretty good right now. He did, of course, get nerfed the patch before this. So, maybe walking it back a little bit. Honestly, I like these changes. Rocket Punch, that feels pretty good. The power block feels a little more quality of lifey to me, and just general feel of the character. But, he gets a little bit of a nice little buff here, so I think Doomfist is still very much going to be in play going into this patch. Now, here's the most interesting one. Junker Queen, she made waves as she hit in the beta. In the contenders scene, she was used pretty much right away. Looks quite good. So she did actually get some nerfs, before she even hit the OWL stage. So for her commanding shout, the radius is reduced from 20 to 15 meters. The allied bonus health now decays over its duration, so kind of like Brigitte's overheal on her ult, her rally. It it slowly goes down, or like Lucio on his beat. You even if you're not getting hit, of course, the extra health that you got will go down. So that's gonna be considered not quite as beefy, but it should still be pretty solid. The maximum duration was increased from 4 to 5 seconds. So I think this is a good nice little tune-ups here. It's going to make her a little more brawly. You'll have to play even a little bit tighter to her, to get the full effects of that commanding shout. And then for Rampage, the radius was reduced from 6 to 5 meters. So a little less range than that. think that's also fine. There were a lot of interactions that I saw with with streamers and a couple that I had in my brief stint of playing. Um, where Junker, they get the part where they line up the corner, they're about to peek the corner, you go alt, and then if you're just standing around a corner, she like all of a sudden you see like jump scare, a little bit of hair, and then she's flying at you. So I think these changes are fine. They're not going to make her bad by any means, but take her down just a little bit because she feels quite strong. I still think she's going to be strong, and we're going to see a pretty solid amount of play from her. But we'll see. So for Orisa, Fortify now disables critical damage. So might be confusing for some people because that's how it is in Overwatch 1 right now. But for Overwatch 2, with some of the changes to Fortify, they did re-enable the critical damage. That's now off again. So a little bit of a buff there. And then Javelin Spin, bonus movement speed increased from 40 to 50%. So another little buff there. Make a little Miss Horsey even more fast. Is she going to be good and played? I don't think so. Not at the OWL level. The fact that she has no shield still is, I think, just kind of a sticking point for her. I think that they're going to have to do something like passively or give her more ways to be faster or just like stay out of sight, because you're just going to get eaten alive otherwise, and you're not going to be able to really get rolling on her until you've absorbed just too much damage. So nice little couple of changes to Orisa here, but I don't see that making her like powerful now. So Sojourn, we now move to damage. Sojourn was of course extremely dominant. This last patch. First of all, for her railgun, her primary gun, the rate has been reduced from 15 to 14 shots per second. It's only one, but that's pretty significant. They knocked Soldier's damage down one, and he kind of fell off the face of the planet. But she's gonna be doing a little less as she goes. That means as a result, you're gonna be doing less damage, and you're also going to be charging a little slower. And then for her alt fire, the railgun, long range shot. The projectile radius now scales with energy level from 0 up to the previous 0.1 meters. So higher the energy level, bigger projectile radius. So, kind of Zarya vibes. The faster or the higher her energy is, the more she's going to, the bigger her beam gets, type of thing. That's what I get from this. From the wording of this. So, I think this is fine. I was almost hoping for maybe a little more nerfs, but I think that the railgun 15 to 14 is going to make a good difference. We'll see if it kind of knocks her out of the meta again, or if she's still played. And I'm not a Sojourn hater by any means. She's really, really fun to play and watch. But she almost just felt a little too dominant. We still want to see some rotation, even though, there's obviously in Overwatch there's never going to be a meta where, every character is viable. That's just not realistic. It's never going to be a thing. So hopefully this kind of brings her down a little bit. She's still good. But, maybe we'll see some other options, for, hit scans or even, double projectile DPS coming in. So next we got Symmetra. Her photon projector alt fire reduced. The charge time is reduced from 1.2 seconds to 1 second. So as she shoots her ball at you, it's going to charge faster now. And the projectile radius increased from 0.4 to 0.5. So it's going to be easier for her to consistently hit long range shots. It's going to in turn get her alt up a little more. Maybe get some kills, because that thing hits. It hits for a lot of damage. So. Nice little buffs here, and then her teleporter, the cooldown's reduced from 16 to 12 seconds, so you're going to be able to get those teleporters going even more now. I'm fine with them buffing Symmetra at this point, as long as they're not buffing her turrets a bunch, because I remember when her turrets were super OP. That was not fun. It's not fun. Drop a like if you remember that era of Overwatch. But in any case, remember when she had 6 turrets? But anyways, like I said, nice little tweaks for Symmetra. I think that's fine. Obviously, not a lot of play besides rolling out on a teleport. Getting a teleporter to get your team out a little bit faster on certain points. So we'll see if that probably doesn't. I don't think it makes her like amazing or anything, but nice little changes. And then for Zenyatta, he got tweaked down a little bit where they reduced his shield back to their regular, the 175 down to 150. So he is now, he's where he has that 50 HP and then 150 shields like he did in Overwatch 2 and early or in Overwatch 1 and early on in Overwatch 2. So Zenyatta going to be a little bit less of a beefy boy, which makes me a little sad because I love Zen. He's, in my opinion, he's the best. He's the most fun support player in the game to play, I should say. Just being able to be so bloodthirsty on support, and he has such a good ult, and I really like the Discord and Harmony Orb just mechanic. But in any case, they're going to back down his beefiness a little bit, which again, that's totally fine. It's very understandable, and I don't have a problem with it. Just anytime Zenyatta is nerfed, it's like sad. A couple of bug changes. We're not going to go into them though. We don't want to make this video super long. Fixed a crash affecting Xbox consoles. So that's good. That's good that they tuned that up. So again, not a ton of changes, but I think we get some good ones. I didn't look at any of them and was like, ugh. Of course, we do have to talk about the maybe the elephant in the room, the Moira change. So good news there with Moira and Mercy. They put this out about a week ago. They have now, in post beta, they've changed Mercy and Moira. So we're just gonna read through it. So Moira, after taking community feedback into account, we've decided to revert the Moira beta changes, namely the new Necrotic Orb ability. We'll dive deeper into this in the upcoming statistics blog, but the main reason for it is that the overall gameplay loop became too passive for many players. Power that Necrotic brought to the table necessitated a long cooldown to make the effect impactful, but not overly frustrating to play against. I think it's overly frustrating to play against anyway. However, this meant many players would just hold the ability for the perfect moment, kind of like Battlefield, which has the side effect of decreasing the amount of cool stuff happening in moment-to-moment gameplay and shifting too much of it into healing. So they will be reverted in time for Overwatch League starting August 11th, which this is great news. It's terrible. There's no way around it. I'm sorry, Overwatch dev team. It's terrible. It's a horrible, horrible change. I'm super glad that they reverted it. Nobody was asking for this. Nobody wanted this. If they wanted to take away Skill Orb, that's fine. This is not the way to replace it. We don't want to make it even harder to kill stuff in Overwatch right now. And for anyone who, didn't play the Overwatch 2 beta or doesn't watch, the streamers and whatnot, essentially the new Necrotic Orb, you'd hit somebody with it and their damage would be reduced to an insane degree. I think it was like 80% or something like that. Where essentially it was to the point of if a diva throws her bomb, you just hit the baby diva with it. Super easy. It's just a radius. It's not like you have to like hit scan to her. Super big radius. You hit her with it, and her bomb. If you're a tracer, you can just stand and sit right next to the bomb, and it will not kill you because her damage is reduced that much. So that is gone. Thank you for getting rid of that. That just terrible. So we're not going to talk. I don't like being overtly negative, so we're not going to talk about that anymore. We get old Moira back, essentially. For anyone who's like, what is he talking about? Also, Mercy. Super Jump is the result of a bug that occurred during Guardian Angel. I'm sure everybody, if you watch this channel, you're into Overwatch. You know Super Jump. You hit your space when you're going up and it shoots, or when you're tethering to somebody and you shoot up. This bug became a core mechanic of high-level Mercy gameplay. True. No, I'm just kidding. No Mercy player hate. They have to position well still, even though they don't have to aim. And it added a lot of depth to her movement. Our goal was to integrate it into her kit for Overwatch 2 so it wasn't as hidden for new players. I get that in theory, that makes sense. We recognize that the first iteration on Guardian Angel didn't quite feel right. True. And we saw similar thoughts from our players. We're currently testing another iteration of Guardian Angel that includes the directional movement we added in the beta, but it also allows Mercy to super jump in a similar way as before. This means canceling the ability with crouch will launch her straight upwards without having to look in that direction. So, and thank you everyone who's involved in the testing process. That's you, everyone who played. Good job. So Mercy is going back to what she was before for now. Again, you probably saw this if you follow any streamers because everyone was like checking it out. But with the new controls, you had Mercies that were just like, they were just doing this and just going back and forth. Is rough. So I give them credit for quickly realizing some of these mistakes and some of these things that I get the thought process. I understand why they tried these things. They didn't work out. They quickly pulled it, and they're going to be trying new things. I assume they're still going to be looking at reworking Moira and removing Skill Orb. And they literally said in the Mercy one that they're going to be rolling out another iteration of, getting Super Jump as a more of a mechanic rather than a glitch or a bug or whatever you want to call it. Which, again, I'm fine with that. I understand why you would do that. And I have no problem at all. It's just implementing it right. It didn't work the first time. Hopefully it works out next time. So I definitely give them credit for being able to, own it and say, okay, this didn't really work out. We're gonna try ahead. We're gonna try again. We're gonna go ahead and make this thing work. So, again, give them credit for that. But in any case, we are probably going to have a pretty different meta right now. There's been people that have been concerned about contenders, the contenders meta and how that's going to translate to OWL. Some people are calling it like a new form of GOAT, because Junker Queen is she's almost like a tank. This is dangerous to say. She's almost like a tank Brigida-esque player or character because a lot of what she does involves being, up close and personal, and then she can, buff her team, she can debuff the enemy, all that good stuff when she's really brawly. Super dangerous up close. Obviously, she's pretty worthless at range. Her shotgun does not do much at all at range, and her other abilities don't do a whole lot at a whole lot of range either. So, will we see new GOATs? Will we see stuff where, will we see metas where stuff just like doesn't die? I'm not worried about it. I think we're gonna see some some definite changes in gameplay, which is great. It's pretty much always good for the game. But again, this is coming from a guy who loved watching GOATs. So take this with a grain of salt, if you will. I don't see teams that are like terrible going in a huge jump and vice versa. But there's going to be a couple of teams that really benefit from this, and a couple that kind of falter. We saw Dallas from last stage, kind of take a dive. We saw London, really go on an upwards trajectory. So it really depends, on the versatility of their team, the coaching, obviously, how they implement it. But I, for one, am very excited to watch. Like I said, I think we're gonna see Junker Queen. I would be shocked if she just doesn't get played. I would really be shocked. So look forward to that. If you like Junker Queen, or if you're just curious about how she's played at a even if you played her in the beta, if you're curious how the best players in the in the world play her, then be sure to tune in for the Summer Showdown qualifiers. I know I'm curious because I played her a little bit and it was kind of hard to get the feel for her with me. I'm gonna be honest. Especially just like her regular gun, pretty hard to get down. But let me know your thoughts. What do you think is going to be, some of the good heroes in this meta? We're going to see kind of Brigida. I assume we're still going to see Lucio because, if Junker Queen is good, getting her in and out is going to be very important. Do we see some Moira for bunch heals? Do we see Bap for his immortality field? And DPS, does it get shaken up or do we see a lot more of the same? I'm very curious to hear your thoughts, so let me know in the comments down below. But as always, thank you guys very much for watching. Hope you enjoy this video. Obviously a little different than my other format, trying to branch out a little bit more, so we're able to get more content up even when it's not just, looking at matches. We're still looking at trying to get better video for VOD reviews, because, getting multiple POV and, just getting kind of control over it like we had all the way back in Season 2 would be phenomenal, because I still really want to do more VOD reviews. They're really fun. I know some of you have responded well to them as well, so we'll see. Hopefully soon. We're still working on it. Hang in with me on that. But other than that, I've rambled on long enough. I hope you all have an absolutely tremendous end of your week here and an awesome weekend. And as always, see you in the next